glasses, but they glare, so I'm gonna take them off for this. Hi! So much has happened. I went to New York City for work last week, over the weekend. It was a blur of changing time zones and like conference presentations. But it was fun. It was a lot of working. It was for work, trying to convince people to like our books. I like our books. What else happened? Oh, when I was in New York, I got to go to this indie bookstore called Spoonbill in Sugartown, and I found a book that inspired the subject of this video. So I got this book called Descartes' Daughter, and I'm hoping you can see some of it. So first of all, the front is like the top of like a cereal or granola bar package where you pull the tab. It was like this when I got it. It was used. And then they have, the cover is white and they have the names set in. You can kind of see it when it catches the light. But what it is, I think, I haven't really read it. I didn't pick it to read. It is a write-up of an art exhibit called Descartes' Daughter. And the thing about it is that I didn't get it to read. I got it for the design. And that's what I want to talk about today. So there are books that I have gotten for the design that have not worked out for me as a reader. I read it and it's just meh, or actively makes me angry. Like WYSIWYG, which is about hacking, the early days of hacking, and the cover looks like an old style computer, and it's even like, it's a little bit, the screen is, I don't think you can see it, it's a little bit set in. There's like a texture, there are dimensions there. Also, I just found 5 postcards from Iceland that I never gave to anyone. Whoops. So here's the thing about WYSIWYG. By the way, WYSIWYG is the way you pronounce the acronym for what you see is what you get, which is like a style. It's like a level of user friendly, like visual pleasingness of computer programs. I don't know if you know this. Anyways, it's about the early days of hacking, and it's about this young guy, and it's just like pretty sexist and kind of homophobic. Not a fan, and it didn't develop. I wasn't into the plot line. That did not work out very well. To a lesser degree, Michael Chabon, the Yiddish Policemen's Union, I liked it all right, but nothing could live up to this cover, which is so cool. I always see Michael Chabon's books in bookstores for years before I even bought this. I would see them and I would just love them and want to touch them and want like posters of them, and want to read them based on the cover. So good job, designer. And I read that and it was kind of hard to get through, and I liked it by the end. But similarly, this book, Ugly Feelings, first of all, yeah, basically just the cover, not even the design, just the cover. There are lots of mole people in her skirt. It's a book of theory. I hadn't read theory in a while. A lot of people that we know, Dandy loves it, Jack loves it. I loved parts of it, but a lot of it was like, felt like a detour. It was hard to get through. I wasn't sure that I completely was on board, and I didn't feel like I was given enough to get on board. So that one was kind of disappointing because I love the cover so much. I just want to be with these books where I love the cover. I want to be totally on board, and they're fine. They're like, yeah, they're like thought-provoking reads, but they don't, I just want to be there with you in the cover. Other ones have worked out. So, for instance, this rom-com, which is a book of poetry inspired and kind of parodying romantic comedies. And look at the insides. This is like made to look like a paper cutout doll. And this is one of the authors. It's written by two people, a man and a woman. Look at this other one. This is great. And the thing is, this was amazing. I saw this, Becca, Erin's old roommate, and Erin had a copy, and I picked it up and I loved it. And then later at a conference like the one I just went to in New York, the publisher was there, and they had old copies of this that they hadn't given away at the last conference, and so I got to grab one. And I love it. It's hilarious. There are poems about So I Married an Axe Murder, which is a 90s rom-com with Mike Myers, and he's a poet. And there's this parody where he just has the same template for a poem in every scene, and just after a breakup he slips the new lady into the template. And it has one that uses the template, and it's great. And that was the first thing I flipped to, and I was like, well, it's beautiful inside and out. And that's what I want from a good design. That's all I ask. Another good one is this book Shiro that is actually printed by my work, by Chin Music Press, and it's meant to be a really visual book, and so I wouldn't like the cover is it's pretty cool, and you get inside and they're like it's made to look like a newspaper magazine type of, and like an old pulpy newspaper look, and there are all these pictures of him growing up, and there are all these kind of little graphic elements hidden away. I'm just flipping through a book in front of you. Look at this. This is fantastic. These are so fun, and they're interspersed. Like, look at this timeline of Shiro growing up. It's beautiful. It's adorable. Like these cute little illustrations and then these photos. And it's a great story of him learning to make sushi in Japan, and then he comes to the US and kind of mischievously slips into this niche where it's like the salmon fishermen are scraping out the roe and just throwing it away or using it as bait, and he's like, I'll take it, I'll empty your buckets for you, and then he starts using the caviar. It's great. Lots of stories like that. Another one is The 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Blue Bear, which is made by, if I understand correctly, a German cartoonist. But it has one thing that's just little, is that it has all of these notes in the margins. Oh, not that side. Whoop. There we go. It has these notes in the margins that kind of comment on what's going on in the text. And it also have these just fun little black and white illustrations. I mean, when you can do stuff like this, I feel like it really takes the story to this fun, playful place. And it's a really imaginative, fun book. It's almost like a children's picture book, in that it is very imaginative and kind of whimsical and has that graphic element. But it's for adults, not because there's a lot of sex or cussing or anything. But because it explores these really developed themes, and it's big, and it has a really developed storyline, and it's just great. It's fantastic. And to have something that can play with graphics for adults, and like have this like mature novel picture book. Why not? Why not all the time? It's very rewarding. So that one also worked out. Shortly before I got Descartes' Daughter, I got this book from, yeah, now you're cooking with gas. I got this from Mercer Street Books, which I'd never been to before. And I got it just for the design again. So this is, I don't have like a lot of investment in this, like as a book. Like, if it's a cool exhibit, cool. But I'm not, like, I don't regularly read art exhibits. I think this kind of is a cool idea, and so I can appreciate it conceptually. But this, I really hope I love. So I feel like Judging a book by its cover and its design doesn't always work out, but there are definitely lots of times where having that element, having that beauty, and having it fit the texture of the book and go that extra mile is just so satisfying. Anyways, that's what I have to say about judging books and their covers, and also the internal layout and illustrations. I would love a part of another. Okay, I'm rambling, but another thing that prompted this was you, Gwendolyn, showing in your last video your what book is it? Wuthering Heights or Jane Eyre, that is disguised as the Iliad, if I recall, which I think is hilarious. And I want to hear about your guys' library oddities.